Welcome, everyone, to today's panel on the forecast, AI trends and security landscape as part of the CSA Global AI Symposium. Now, we're at a pivotal moment in both AI and cybersecurity, where rapid advancements are creating both opportunities and significant challenges. Today, we're going to explore key trends that are shaping the future of AI and security, how these technologies are being leveraged by both defenders and attackers, and what we can expect as AI continues to intersect with other emerging technologies like quantum computing. I'm excited to dive into these critical topics with our esteemed panelists. Let's get started first with an introduction to our panelists, Adam Lundquist and Mehek Kalsi. Would you like to kick us off with an introduction to yourself, please?
Hey, good morning, everybody. So my name is Mehek Kalsi, and an easy way to remember that is to think of it as what the heck Mehek, and then Kalsi is close to Kelsey, so it works out. I am a leader and consultant in the cybersecurity, quantum computing, and CMMC ecosystems. I also am a co-chair here at the Cloud Security Alliance of the Quantum Safe Security Working Group. And I've been featured twice by Authority Magazine as a leader in the quantum computing industry. I hold a couple of different certifications from Stanford and MIT in quantum computing and AI, respectively, as well as advanced cybersecurity and some other industry recognized certifications such as a CISSP, CISA, and I'm a CCP in CMMC. I also have a strong background working with Fortune 500 companies in cybersecurity, quantum computing, and IT. And I've been a featured speaker a couple of different places, including the Cloud Security Alliance, ISC Squared, Day of Security, and a few others. So I'm really excited for our conversation today and the different topics that we're going to touch on as we touch on AI and cybersecurity in general.
Thank you, Mehek. That's quite a list of accolades and accomplishments there. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. So I'm Adam. I have a background in software engineering and management, in particular in the field of security and AI. I worked in the latter half of my career, I would say, in identity and access management at the company Nexus. And I've also been working in the last 3 years at Cobalt with pen testing as a service. And right now I'm currently looking into the next thing. What that will be, it looks like it will be automation of offensive security using AI. I have been involved in CSA since about a year or so. I led the authorship of a paper called Using AI in Offensive Security. And yeah, thanks for having me today.
Awesome. Really happy you could join us today, Adam. Okay, great. Well, I'll kick us off with our first question. What are some of the most critical AI and security trends that you think are shaping the landscape today? Adam, would you like to tee off?
Yes. So I can start with the kind of the AI part of the equation, which is, AI is growing stronger every day. It's fantastic development. If we look at the trends that are just moving right now, it's twofold. One is the models are improving very much, very fast. The other thing is how we use the models is also moving very fast, right? Think of prompt engineering, how to build agents out of the LLMs and so on. But let's take a very short step back and check where we are today. So AI stands for artificial intelligence. And when we talk about intelligence in the concept of human intelligence, then we're talking about IQ. And if we try to measure IQ of a model, that's actually something they have done at trackingai.org. And with the introduction of OpenAI's new O1 preview, that's actually the first model that surpasses an IQ of 100, with a vast amount of measurements being around 120 of IQ. And that's already well beyond an average human. And now to the trends, the reason or the main leap of this O1 surpassing human level or IQ is the reasoning capabilities. So reasoning is one of the strong trends right now. And why is that so important? It's because there's something called AI agents, which is a autonomous system based on LLMs or large language models, where the large language model is used for reasoning, planning, and decision making and stuff. And an AI agent also has access to memory and tools such as search or using any API or even using Kali Linux tools, for example. And that exists today, but it's quite hard to build AI agents that are doing well in complex environments. And that's where reasoning really helps. So that's on the short term, probably the strongest trend right now, reasoning. If we zoom out a little bit, we will see, or we can see that the models are increasing very fast. There has been two blog posts by important people lately. One of them is Sam Altman. The other one is Dario Amodei, who's CEO of Anthropic. And Dario Amodei, he actually estimated that we will have a powerful AI, as he calls it, to arrive in 2026. And when he talks about powerful AI, it's a AI that is smarter than any Nobel Prize winner and in any field, or in most fields at least. Sam Altman talks about super intelligence arriving in a few thousand days. And of course, we can't predict that really good. But what we do know is that O1 has now actually kind of surpassed average human. So that's on the AI side. It's moving super fast. On the security side, if we look at how AI can actually drive security, it's challenging. It's challenging. I'm not sure if there are particular trends in security independent of AI that are relevant. I would rather say they are all related to AI. And let's perhaps look into the different trends in how AI advances later.
I could jump in here. So, Adam, you gave a lot of really good points that I agree with, right? The reasoning aspect of AI is really important. The way I see it, and we may have differing views, is the things that are going to drive these trends are the issues themselves. So AI's goal is, to me, super intelligence, right? And you said we've seen that certain AIs can get human level thinking to a certain degree already. So that's what's really going to drive those trends. And you mentioned reasoning, so I won't really dive in too deep there. But from a cybersecurity aspect, the goal is securing information, right? And there's a couple of different ways we can do that, and AI can actually help. And that is something we'll talk about later. But one of the biggest trends that we're seeing, with AI and security, where they really kind of converge together, is deep fakes. We all heard of the most recent example of, a employee that was being asked by their C-suite to move millions of dollars into an account, right? And so this is where cybersecurity would come in and kind of intersect with that AI and say, how do I make sure that this doesn't happen again? AI is getting better, smarter. They're starting, and the hackers and everybody are using it to get what they want, right? Which at the end of the day, a lot of time is money, power, whatever it may be. So one of the cybersecurity trends, like to combat something like what I just talked about the deep fakes, a trend in security is, how do we do that? Well, one of the things that's really helpful, it sounds really weird, but if you're getting a weird request from someone in your C-suite saying move money and it's a Zoom call, I would suggest two things. Either end the call and call a phone number that for that C-suite person, right? Or figure out a way to walk away, because they try to use pressure tactics and things like that, say, hey, well, I'm the CFO. well, you should just be listening to me. Well, you can use excuses too. This is old school cybersecurity, right? Is social engineering security to say, hey, can you hold on a second? Someone's at my door. Let me just get this. But in reality, you're walking away to give a direct call to the CFO or whoever's asking you for this to say, hey, is that really you on this call? It sounds really weird. So, but it works. It's gonna sound strange, but tell the person on the other side to hold a pen or a pencil to their face and turn their head, because AI has trouble with things like ears and such as that. So I say all this to kind of add to what you're saying, Adam, is that AI is getting smarter. And then the security trends in terms of cybersecurity, that's just one small example for deep fakes, are trying to not just keep up and come up with new trends, but bringing in old trends that would actually work in this situation. Another thing is, I think that's really, really important is AI ethics. And in general, it's getting some traction, but there isn't enough support for it. I'm sure we've heard a lot of people talking about it. There's even, in the government, there's a call for legislation by the big organizations that want to, have more guardrails for AI. So that's not just a trend, in my opinion, for AI, but also for security, because that cybersecurity is kind of tied in there. Because if we don't put in the proper AI ethics in place, we're not going to be able to keep up on the cybersecurity side as well. And that's really any industry, but that's just the way I see those two really coming together and kind of building on each other.
Thanks, Mehek. That was a great example. You're right. I think a lot of us were pretty shocked about that example you gave of a deep fake on a Zoom call, for instance. And some great suggestions from you, by the way. Those would be some entertaining Zoom calls to have it nonetheless.
Yes.
Carrying on that theme though, so Adam, as AI continues to advance more in terms of speed and the capabilities that you described in terms of reasoning and IQ, how are cyber criminals exploiting these technologies, right? What are some of the new methods of attack that we can anticipate in the near future?
Yeah. So OpenAI, they are quite good in publications of what they have seen their cyber criminals using their AI for. And there was recently an updated report of that, where they say it's essentially used for, you can say, 5 use cases. The first one is reconnaissance. So they use it for identifying vulnerabilities in systems, researching specific technologies, or general around data collection, right? The second one is around social engineering, generating spear phishing emails, and so on. And then we come to scripting and debugging, so writing code for malware or for automating criminal tasks and stuff like that. Vulnerability research, trying to understand and exploit vulnerabilities they have found. And finally, to scale influence and disinformation campaigns, where they generate vast quantities of content, including fake social media posts, comments on those posts, and even longer form articles. So, and there has also previously been some reports from Microsoft where they also talk about how they bypass security mechanisms, like bypassing CAPTCHAs, using image analysis, and also optimizing command and control with remote control and remote control of compromised systems. So they have. I would say they have adopted it in a quite wide area. My concern goes a little bit further, and that is something I would call superhuman hackbots. It's a fancy word, but that's autonomous AI agents, which are specialized on hacking. So. And they can become superhuman without being AGI, but become superhuman in speed or depth or breadth of the attacks and so on. And if they are used by a hacker, you can imagine if a hacker can upscale its operations by 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, whatever using such hackbots, that is a tricky situation. And the problem there when talking about trends is that it's not a huge step. It's not a revolution to get to these superhuman hackbots. It's an evolution. So we already have agents in place. We have all the components it takes, but it all needs to be refined, right? So that's kind of what I anticipate coming in the not too far future. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Adam. It's certainly some pretty scary predictions there. Mac, I'm going to turn to you. How do you see the intersection of AI with other emerging technologies that we've been hearing about, such as quantum computing? And what do you think will be the impact from advancements like quantum AI in terms of the future of cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question there, Vinay. I can talk about this for a really long time, but I won't do that today. I am presenting as part of this series or this summit, a separate talk about quantum AI. So anyone who wants more detail than I'm able to give here, you can definitely tune in there to learn a little bit more. So, but when it comes to the intersection of AI and quantum computing, it really depends on how fast these two technologies advance and in which order they can help each other based on that. But they can actually help each other advance as well. That's just the way I see it. So one of the major things I see happening is for AI, for AI uses for quantum computing, AI can actually help quantum computers reach that quantum advantage by helping with something called noise. Now, I know AI also has a term called noise, but it's entirely different in quantum computing. It has to do with the qubits themselves and them decohering based on a variety of different things like noise from the actual hardware or from changes in fluctuations of energy. So that's what the term noise actually means in quantum computing. And AI computers or AI technology in general can help optimize the way that calculations are done in quantum computers to minimize that noise. So I really think that's a really, really important intersectionality of these two different technologies as they come together. AI can also help with, and I start to laugh already because I know what people are going to be thinking about after this, but it can also help quantum computers come up with, or AI itself can help come up with quantum safe algorithms. So these algorithms are really, really needed in order to protect the data that we have. And we can talk about this a little bit later, but my only concern with this is teaching AI the quantum safe algorithms or getting their help to create them also teaches them what it is and how to exploit them. So that's a whole other discussion, but there is still an opportunity to use AI to have quantum safe algorithms. And then in reverse, like a quantum computer for AI, like how can they help each other? It can actually help with AI development and deployment. So quantum computers, the whole basis is once they reach a quantum advantage, they can do calculations and things like that faster. Once they're able to do that, not only can they help with, quote, the learning step of AI, which is really that last step, I see it helping earlier as well. There is a lot of data that needs to be cleaned before an AI model can function optimally. The way I see it is we could use potentially quantum computers to help way earlier in the process and start cleaning that data. And so that's just a couple of uses there, but then also quantum neural network. It's basically what it sounds like, using running the AI on a quantum computer and getting it that speed it needs. So when it comes to quantum AI and its impact on cybersecurity, you can really augment cybersecurity, and we can talk about this more in detail. Like and Adam touched on a couple of different aspects of it already, but when you're running AI, tools that are run with AI that are cybersecurity related, perhaps your SIM, perhaps your IDS, if you run that on a quantum computer, the AI security tool itself, you would be able to identify trends and threats faster. And be able to potentially respond faster too to those threats. Because in reality, as we move into the future, a lot of organizations are going to have to use AI to secure their organizations because a lot of the threats that are incoming are going to be powered by AI. So there's, again, a lot of some concerns there we can talk about at some point too, but it's an arms race, really. You need to have these technologies in place. So high level, quantum AI, the way I see it, is just that intersectionality of AI with quantum that will give, just pulling back a little and looking at it from a national level, any country that is able to have an advantage in quantum computing and AI super intelligence is really going to be the de facto leaders of the world. And so really getting ahead of these technologies, or really making sure that we're the ones that have it, or any country will think this way. It's really an important advantage for any company or really any country to have.
Thanks, Meg. I think you said it well, a quantum AI arms race, really. Okay, well, great. I've got a question I'll pivot to that I'd like to ask both of you to chime in on. With the growing power of AI, what are some of the steps that we in the security industry can take now to proactively address some of the future risks that you've already talked about, and just generally trying to stay ahead of these AI-driven threats? Adam, if you can lead us off.
Yeah. So I think most of the defensive controls we already have in place, they are good. They are not bad, but they still need to be improved and automated using AI, obviously. So in a few years, we will still see zero trust, threat modeling, defense in depth, and all these concepts, right? It's just that we need to make them better and faster. So I'm working on offensive security, and I'm trying to transform offensive security using AI in order to improve exactly this, the speed and the quality of vulnerability assessments, pen testing, red teaming, you name it, right? And this is one of the areas where we need to ramp up the development, but same goes to all areas in security, right? There's just not one single way we can do it. If I would oversimplify, I would simply say everyone needs to invest in AI in their domain in order to improve their operations.
Great. Thanks for that, Adam. Could you share your thoughts with us, please?
So when it comes to looking at how AI and what the security industry can do, there's a couple of different things. So we touched a little bit on the previous question about using SIMs and IDS and kind of powering them with AI in order to be able to combat against other AI attacks, or even without AI, having that power at your organization will help you work faster, respond faster to attacks. So one of the major concerns there, though, is having AI that can make decisions without human intervention. So one of the most important things we need to understand and figure out is, how do we still have that human aspect to the AI tools that we're using? And it's going to be hard to do, but the next part is having a silo for your AI is like really keeping it on track. Like, this is all that you do. But that's like a longer conversation. It's how do you silo your AI from a cyber perspective to make sure that it's not going to do other nefarious things. And then just figure out how AI makes its decisions. Right now, as any security professional or any professional, really, if you go in and look at AI, you're not sure how it's making its decisions. So how can you, from a cybersecurity aspect, make sure that all your data in an organization is secure? Or how can you make sure that things are secure in general if you don't know how the tech that you're using is working? So that's one of the things as a cybersecurity professional I'm thinking about, is how do I make sure that there's a proper controls in place? So this kind of leads into then the natural lead into cybersecurity standards and regulations that we see a lot for people who work in AI, people who work in cyber really need to kind of come together and say, what can we do? And there again is a push for this with governments. They have their special groups, but new standards, new regulations, new guardrails are what are really needed from a cyber aspect to make sure that there are these proper controls in place to make sure that we're actually working with AI rather than on it, AI on its own and the rest of us, and humans on their own. And you definitely want to know from, a compliance perspective what AI is doing, from GDPR, CCPA, there's so many things you need to think about. And third is a big one, really. It's quantum computing cryptography. I keep circling back to quantum because some organizations and industries are paying attention, like finance, telecom. A lot of them are paying attention to the quantum aspect here too, but others aren't. But what's really important, I'll mention here, is that a lot of these AI tools themselves are secured by some level of encryption, their code or whatever that they're running on, even the data that they're using. And if you bring in quantum computing into the equation, that all falls apart because, long story short, you have Shor's algorithm that Peter Shor created, which essentially will break, and that's the easy term, any asymmetric encryption that we currently have in place, which is 90% of the data is secured by that, public key encryption to be more specific, and everything on the internet at this point too. But if you want to really secure your AI tools and really any data that you have that's a competitive advantage or anything, you really need to start looking into quantum safe cryptography. And not to kind of ramble on this a little longer, but if you need direction for your organization and you're like, hey, how do I secure my AI or any of my data really, look at NIST FIPS 203, 204, 205. They were just finalized back in August. Take a look. So these are really things that cyber or organizations that are concerned about cybersecurity, that this is a really good starting point, is these three different things, is actually getting, get your cryptography up to date, make sure that you're helping build these standards and regulations, and that basically you're making sure that you have the right AI tools in place as well to help your organization.
Thanks, Meg. A quick follow-up for you. Earlier you mentioned being careful of leveraging AI to build, let's say, quantum safe algorithms. Adam, you mentioned earlier about this, I think you forgot what you called it, but something around a super AI hackbot, right? So the question for you, Meg, is how do AI self-learning and kind of autonomous capability present not only unique challenges for cybersecurity, but also what are some of the strategies that organizations can start to adopt in safeguarding against these evolving risks?
So yeah, that's a great question, and it's a hard one. I'm not going to pretend like it's easy because and again, like with AI, there's always a concern that it's going to become super intelligent. Like it's what we want, and at the same time, it's the biggest danger. And with that quantum safe cryptography, we, as mentioned, NIST already has FIPS 203, 204, 205 out there, and organizations are coming up with their own specific types of encryption that they consider to be post-quantum safe. If that information is out there, if you have it and your AI tool or AI in general learns it, you're right, it can break it, right? Especially if it itself starts running on a quantum computer, as insane as that sounds. I see that as a potential risk. I work in risk consulting as well, so I think really, really long term how I see this going, and it's a concern. It's something where that regulation and these industry groups come into play, and large players who know more than I do, more about the math. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a math specialist who knows how these algorithms work in detail. I know high level. They need to come together and figure out, how do we, first of all, do that quantum safe piece and then also keep it from the AI? And we need the big industry players like the tech giants, people that actually know, the quantum computing companies. You need the government, and you need everyone just working together to figure that out. And definitely bring in the scientists. They know what they're talking about. You need that piece as well. You need the cryptographers. You need everyone who's in there really in the weeds, and really get everyone together to figure that out.
Great. Thanks so much. Adam, I'll turn to you. Now, we know AI is not only a tool for cyber criminals, but also for defense. And I know you spend a lot of time focusing on how AI can be leveraged for offensive security as well. What specific AI-powered technologies or approaches even are, in your mind, proving to be most effective in countering some of these advanced threats?
So someone said, I'm not really sure who it was, but someone said the most dangerous LLM cyber capability is summarization. And that's quite interesting because, of course, it's always a dual system, right? What's good for the defender is good for the offensive side, right? But I think summarization is one very important part. Imagine the hacker can enter a system, it finds a whole lot of files or something, and it needs to take a decision within seconds what to do, right? And summarization there is crucial for that hacker, right? And same goes for an IDS or for our defensive mechanisms, right? We need to summarize the situation as fast as possible, as good as possible. And that's where LLM shines today, right? And I think that's one of the top areas where AI technologies can help us. If we look at SOC, for example, the SOC functions can be significantly less human efforts in the future using AI. And that's a big advantage, right? We can use AI for data analysis, to create actionable insights. And of course, AI-driven threat intelligence that significantly improves the threat detection, right? By integrating diverse data sources, predicting potential attacks, and so on. There's a lot of positive use of AI for defensive mechanisms or for defensive use. Yeah.
Thanks, Adam. As a quick follow-up to that, there are challenges that organizations face when they try to integrate AI-powered security solutions, right? Some of the examples that you gave earlier, when they try to integrate them into their existing infrastructure. Any suggestions on how they can overcome some of these integration hurdles?
Yeah, that's a multifaceted thing, I would say. But I guess most companies, they will start by getting a AI policy in place in some way, right? So you need to get the governance in place and all that stuff. But if we want to get down into a little bit more on the technical side, if you want to implement AI or LLMs in your as a chatbot on your website or in your applications, whatever kind, at first, of course, you need to look at OWASP top 10 for LLMs. That's kind of a little bit of guidance on how to do that, how to ensure to avoid the top risks when integrating LLMs. You need to pay very much attention to what data the LLM can access. You don't want to give the LLM or the AI agent too much room for taking own decisions. And if you give it access to databases, for example, you must ensure to really have that under control so you detect when that is being used in a way you didn't anticipate it to be used. And it all comes down to authorization, I would say. That's a key when implementing AI. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam. I want to just thank all of our panelists for joining us. Mehak, I'd love to give you the opportunity to provide your closing remarks, followed by you, Adam, please.
Sure. So just high-level closing remarks. There's a lot to uncover here with when it comes to AI, cybersecurity, or even, we touched briefly on other emerging technologies that we talked about. So one of the major things I really want to say is thank you for attending, because whether you're an amateur or an expert to these technologies, you came here, hopefully you learned something new. And one of the things I really like to encourage is to keep learning. We do have in all of these industries, there are people that do know what they're talking about, but we always need new folks to increase their skill set, especially when it comes to these emerging technologies. So keep learning, get your organizations involved in moving forth with programs that are related to AI, quantum, or anything really, or cybersecurity in general, and keep all of these things in mind. And if you are an expert in anything related to these topics, get involved, help create these legislation, join NIST, do whatever you have to do, and really bring awareness to them. And so again, did want to say thank you for joining today. And please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and just drop a brief message indicating that you enjoyed the session or how you felt about the session in general. And I look forward to connecting with you there.
Thanks, Mehek. Adam?
Yeah, I would also like to thank you for tuning in here. It's been an awesome session. So actually, much of my suggestions are very similar to Mehek's. So number one, I think no matter what you do, what position you have, what you want to do, you should start experimenting with AI. You will find use cases where it works well for your area, and you will also find use cases where it doesn't work. Focus on the ones that work and try to expand that. That's number one. If your entire organization is willing to do this, invest in this. That's one thing. We all need to invest in AI in order to become one step ahead of the cyber criminals. And I totally agree. Collaborate. I think CSA is a perfect example of this. There are many working groups in CSA, and if you are willing to invest your spare time, do this in one of the groups. You learn a lot here, and I really suggest that to everyone. But main key, learn how to use AI.
Thank you, both of you, and completely echo your sentiments around greater need for collaboration and involvement. Well, thank you all for those insightful closing thoughts. This has really been a fascinating and important discussion. And again, I want to extend my gratitude to all our panelists here for sharing their expertise and perspectives. I also want to thank all of you in the audience for engaging with us today. The intersection of AI and security is undoubtedly complex, right? But it's clear that we're going to need collaboration, as you heard, and forward thinking as we navigate these challenges ahead. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the symposium.